In the description of my artificial ascent video, I stated that being better at the game than Eric Van Wilderman is one of my main goals for the year, and I'm very close. After my next hardest, I'll be able to confidently say so. And then, after playing Yatagarasu for a week, which is the level that I chose as my next hardest, I open my phone and see this. He freaking copied me! So, as you can tell, this is, clearly about more than just me. This is a very intense battle between young and old, rich versus poor. I'm an incredibly poor person. I have no money. Actually, this is being recorded from a McDonald's iPad. I'm sure Eric is secretly a billionaire in disguise, just waiting to use his money for some nefarious purpose. UK versus Canada or Korea, I don't know. Either way, a heated rivalry. But anyway, enough stupidity. Let's just, get into this. I actually haven't learned the beginning of the level yet, so, this is the part that I'm the worst at. I've learned the full drop, which is like, it's just under 80%, so about 3/4 of the level. I'm really bad at talking while doing practice runs. From what I've played of the drop so far, the pre-drop rather, this blue orb, the micro-click blue orb seems very hard. But the rest of Anubis's part seems like fine, and also the part before it, I think it's Fight Prince part. But yeah, no, this is a great level, honestly. Like, I'm really enjoying playing it, but it's a bit frustrating as, like, because I don't really like the consistency building process on levels. I'm kind of struggling a bit at the moment with the level, but, that's kind of to be expected. And also it's a bit of a jump up from my previous hardest, obviously Artificial Ascent. I wouldn't say it's a huge jump, but there's definitely a gap in terms of difficulty. Now this wave, as you can tell, I haven't learnt it yet, and obviously it's one of the hardest parts in the level. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this. I'm just gonna have to spend probably thousands of attempts playing this wave just to, get it down, so it's actually consistent enough where I'll be able to pass it frequently. I don't like the fact that you can't see really the outlines in this wave. That's probably the hardest thing about it for me. And obviously the fact that it's very tight gameplay. This transition into the big portal is kind of hard. I'm not sure why. It just is. The visual aspect. I saw in Aona's video that you can skip this yellow portal, which is immensely helpful. You can skip the other one too, but that one's less important to skip. So it's mainly the first half of that wave that's difficult. The second half's kind of not so bad. That blue orb can be tricky to hit. As I say, I haven't really learned any of this. You do have to click as the UFO there, which is kind of annoying. I like to do two. I haven't really learned it yet, but I like to do 2 clicks there and then 1. I kind of forget that these gravity portals are there occasionally. It seems you've got to come out of this first, like, sort of, if I turn off the pause menu, it looks like you sort of got to curve through here and be already heading, like, in this direction, heading sort of downwards while you're upside down when you transition into the blue portal, because that way it's going to make the swoop into there a lot easier. Because if you're going upwards like I'm doing now, like this, then it's a bit more difficult. But if you're sort of already going down, then it kind of makes the transition a bit easier. This wave, pretty easy, I think. Except the transition into it. One thing I really dislike about this level is the fact that, like, half the portals are invisible or blacked out, and it's like, it makes it really, really difficult to play. Because, like, obviously, from playing the game a lot, you learn what portals do, and you learn to recognize, oh, that's a blue portal, I'm about to go the right way up, or, that's a wave portal, I'm about to turn into a wave. But when they're not there, it's so much harder to judge your entry into parts, and I just find that really annoying, because it doesn't add anything to the level. Like, no one thinks the level looks better that doesn't have any portals. Like, they're a part of the game. Gameplay objects should be visible if, like, it's not a memory level, which this definitely isn't. This ship is pretty easy. A lot of the parts in the pre-drop do seem to be harder than a lot of the parts in the drop, but I wouldn't say it's, like, pre-drop carried at all. These blue orbs in this ship is really hard. I've found. From here to the drop is really difficult, because then there's the cube part there that's not easy. There's another micro-click blob there, so that's, again, not easy. That's a very specific jump as well, this one that I keep dying to, the first one. And these orbs, you have to hit early, late, early. No, sorry, late, early, late. That's what I meant. So then, we're into the drop, and I have a lot less to say about the drop because I've sort of already learnt it. So obviously you start off with a blind transition, which is great. I still don't really know whether I'm doing 4 clicks or 3 clicks in this straight fly. 3 is easier, I feel, but also you can sometimes just mess up 3, so I don't know. This is all very straightforward. You got this. This wave is annoying. What I sometimes do is, you can, because there's so many just random objects in this wave, you can die quite easily to little things. Sometimes, the main way I die in this wave, though, is when I'm here, and I, like, go into one of these saws by mistake, like that. I like to do 3 clicks there, so that I can always land on the block into this ship. This ship I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. That's how I do that ship. Sometimes I forget here that you have to, if I can do the jump, that you have to wait a bit on this, if I just get there again. On this block here, you have to wait a bit before jumping, otherwise you hit this block and you jump really early and you die to this block here. So you've got to wait a bit and jump more at the edge of this block so you actually land on the block here instead of hitting the side. Sort of while we're going through these more boring parts of the level, I'm going to talk about why I chose this level, really. Because it wasn't initially the level I thought I'd be doing. Quickly though, this ship part is ass. I'm really bad at it for some reason. I just can't get a consistent click pattern. I really struggle with the turning upside down part. And I just feel really out of control all the time, so that's this. But anyway, you can skip the green orb here and not go upside down, but that's hard as well. I find it easier to hit the green orb. But yeah, so initially I was going to do, when I was planning out sort of my improvement for this year, I was initially going to, after Artificial Ascent, play the NASCAR level, Apollo 11, which is a really cool level, but I didn't choose that for a number of reasons. Firstly, it would take me quite a while, and I don't really want that. I want to improve quicker. Secondly, it's not a very big jump in difficulty from Artificial Ascent. They're very similar in terms of difficulty, and I want a challenge. And finally, it's just all the difficulty in that level comes from timings, ship, and learning the cube jewel. Timings and ship are easy for me, so it's not that big of a challenge again, and learning the cube jewel just doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Now we're into Michigan's part, which is one of the harder parts. If I just back up a bit, I sort of didn't say anything about this part. It's just a good part all around. I don't really die to it that much. But then we've got this little part here. I'm not actually sure if the creator of this part's name is Zelda, or if it just says Zelda because Michigan was, like, inspired by Zelda in a lot of his levels. I don't know. But here, you know, these jumps can kill you sometimes. I haven't actually died to them in a run yet, but this wave I have a very specific click pattern for. It looks like I'm just spamming, but I do actually do the exact same clicks every time. But the transition in here I found is very consistent. You just have to wait a second after going through this portal, which is obviously invisible, and then you do the 3 robot jumps. The transition into the wave is kind of hard. Then you've got the triple spike and that stupid bird jump, which is ridiculously difficult, especially when you're in a run. This part's easy. I've died here a few times in runs for some reason. But anyway, back to picking hardest. Then I was gonna do, after I'd ruled out Apollo 11, I was going to do Memories, which is quite an underrated Extreme Demon, and that's a wave level, so it would have got me a lot better at wave. But the reasons I didn't do that was, firstly, it fell off the list, and I was very motivated to go for it because it was on the list, so I'm doing Yatta instead, because it is technically on the list. I say technically because it'll probably fall off by the time I've beaten it, but, you know, the motivation is there. And, also, it's a wave level, and while that's good because I need to get better at waves, so I'm sure I'll beat it at some point, it's bad because it means it'll take ages, and I don't want that. And also it's very high CPS, so I will not enjoy it as much as some other levels, so as much as I love that level, I didn't end up going for it. I probably will some other time. This part sucks, by the way, I hate it. It's really hard to get muscle memory for. The UFO is easier. This part I really don't like either. It just feels really buggy. All the transitions are really bad as well. I do 3 clicks in that wave, which is, I think most people do 4, but I'm the slowest clicker in the world. This ball part I find very annoying because you can do a few things. You can hit this, you can hit the corner of this block here, which is easier said than done, it seems, because I can't do it, but I do it loads by accident. And when you do that, obviously your muscle memory is messed up. You can still survive, but you have to register very quickly that you've hit the corner and change your click pattern based on that, which means you basically die every time you do that. You can also quite easily go too late here, and it doesn't look like you've gone too late, but sometimes if you go late, you hit that spike there, even if you're like spamming. But yeah, you gotta basically just spam here. This ship is very easy. He says as he dies to it. This transition into the wave is especially bad. One thing I'd like to point out about this wave as well is, have a look at these hitboxes. Holy! What are these, man? Like, you can die to these. They're not just there. You can actually die to these. So if you go too close to the slope, you do die, which is awesome. Yep, here we have this ball, which is weird because sometimes you can buffer all 3 of these inputs here. Sometimes you can't, and it doesn't. I don't really know when you can and when you can't, but this transition chip here is really hard. I still don't really know what click pattern you're supposed to do. I usually end up doing 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2 or something like that. Funny games part, very straightforward. Once you've learnt it, it's not that hard. You just gotta know the click pattern. Oh, which I literally did wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, no. For the UFO I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 1, which I saw in a Nexus video, so shout out to Nexus for giving me that click pattern indirectly. This last cube is really easy. I shouldn't die here. One thing I would like to point out is these, I can speak. This blue orb here is a micro click, but it's really easy. If you hit this yellow orb late, then you can hit this late and it's not really that much of a micro click. Whereas if you buffer the yellow orb, you just like die. If you hit the yellow orb earlier like this, then it's a much harder click, but if you hit it later, then, you know, it's easier. You have to wait a little bit to do those jumps. And these blue orbs, I like to skip the second 2, just because I'm the world's slowest clicker, and I sometimes, like, actually can't hit all 4 of them, because I'm that bad at clicking fast. But, yeah, no, that is the level. And some insight into my thoughts on the level, and, you know, why I'm going for this level. So, you know, let's hope I can beat this quicker than Artificial, maybe even while it's still on the list, but, you know, thank you for watching, and see you next time.
When is your death on Jarmez?
8.
Okay. No, basically they've done B, Verity, and I think a few more mediums.
They've improved really fast then, because I swear they were beating like easy demons. Like,
yeah, they were doing beginner tier GDDP first.
That is impressive. 36!
Huh?
36 on Yatta.
We only heard the 6.
36!
Yeah.
Let's go! Finally
You got
passed
the
the draw.
draw.
And I got to 36! Like, I would have got so much further if my hand hadn't been so sweaty from being far. I'm glad I passed Anthrax,
Jarmez
though.
excuse, by the way. You say this every time you die.
It's literally true, though. I'm not even kidding. I died to such an easy click.
Please get yourself an AC in your room.
No, it's not to do with the heat. It's to do with nerves. What? First real progress. Let's go. Should have gone way further. Finally. As a level, it's fine, just like copying the deco, but if you wanted to rate, you'd have to make your own original decoration.
Yeah, no, I'm still gonna go change it around later, but like, I just want to make this level first.
Yeah.
I can always change a few parts and like add a few parts of decoration that I like myself.
Now, I'm not saying you should do that, I'm just saying if you wanted it to get rated, that's what you would have to do.
Yeah, no, I can always submit it to a mod and then ask them why it's not, if it's not rateable, obviously, just why not, and then they'll just give me an answer like, it's not unique enough, and I'll just, you can submit it multiple times if you updated it, right?
Yeah, of course.
I could just submit it to a mod and they're like, oh yeah, that's cool, but it's just raw upload style, maybe it should be a bit more unique, and I'll just change it and then send it again, right?
Yeah, good idea, yeah. Are you kidding? Oh my god, I got 51 to 96.
Oh.
I don't know whether to force the run to 100 or not.